One autumn evening, Derek was waiting at Walsworth Yard when James arrived with some trucks. As usual, he was in a bit of a foul mood. "Good evening, James," smiled Derek.
"What's so good about it? These trucks have been a bother all the way here."
"Well," said Derek proudly, "the Fat Controller has given me a special job. He wants me to take an important goods train to the other railway. Isn't that exciting?" James was about to retort when a half-forgotten memory struck him.
"You'll be going through Henry's tunnel, won't you?"
asked James.
Yes," answered Derek.
"Why?" James glanced around.
After Henry was let out of the tunnel, an engine known as 87546 broke down in Henry's bore. The guard went to get help, but when he came back, 87546 and his train had disappeared.
"Disappeared?" asked Derek.
"Surely he just went out the other side."
"That's what the guard thought," said James. "But no one saw 87546 exit the tunnel. To this day, no one has ever found him or the passengers who were on his train." Derek was stunned. "But how?" he asked. "Engines can't just disappear into thin air."
"No one knows," said James. "Some say he went back in time, others say he did leave and no one saw him, and some say it was a hungry monster."
He paused.
"But between you and me, I think the tunnel missed Henry's company and now wants to find another engine to take his place. Just try and make sure it isn't you."
Derek gulped, and still shivering, he rolled away. Derek was making good time and soon reached the workstation without any trouble. But he couldn't help but think about James's story. A tunnel can't just come to life, he told himself. It's just not possible. James is just pulling your... But Derek's tone soon changed when he approached Henry's tunnel. Its large mouth seemed to swallow the rails, and no light shone through the other side. It looked like a gateway into nothing. Derek suddenly felt very scared. He revved his engine and charged into the tunnel at full speed. The signalman climbed the telegraph pole, the station master paced the platform, and the Fat Controller checked his watch. 15 minutes late, he muttered. Just then the telephone rang, and the station master hurried away to answer it. He came out looking worried.
"Derek never made it past the workstation," he said. "No one's seen him since or knows where he's got to."
The Fat Controller was now very concerned. He quickly organized a rescue party, and soon, Bear and a group of workmen were heading down the line in search of Derek. Derek had broken down inside Henry's tunnel. He felt dreadfully frightened and jumped at even the slightest of sounds. Just then, he heard a loud growling sound. It bounced off the tunnel walls and made the rails quaver. Then, a light appeared in the distance, growing larger by the second. "It's the monster!" cried Derek and shut his eyes.
"Derek, all right?"
Derek cautiously opened one eye. It was Bear. "Oh, thank goodness," he sighed. "Let's just get out of here, please." Bear was quickly coupled up, and the two diesels set off for the other railway. Derek was happy to be out of the tunnel, but still felt a bit shaky. Is everything all right, Derek? Asked the Fat Controller.
Derek recounted James's story.
The Fat Controller smiled. Don't believe everything you hear, Derek. That story is nothing more than an urban legend. The truth is,
Just then, the yard foreman called out,
"Hey, you're a few short."
What do you mean? I left with a full... Derek cut short. His train was indeed missing its last few vans.
How?
He cried. I never stopped to uncouple any. And left. No one said a word.
And every year, on the date of the accident, it runs again as a warning to others, plunging into the gap, shrieking like a lost soul. Percy, what are you talking about? The ghost train. Driver saw it last night. Where? Asked Thomas and Toby. He didn't say. Oh, it makes my wheels wobble to think of it. Huh, said Thomas. You're just a silly little engine. I'm not scared. Thomas didn't believe in your ghost, said Percy next morning. His driver laughed. Neither do I. It was a pretend ghost on television. Percy was disappointed. That evening, he came back from the harbour. Percy knew where he was, even in the dark. Crow's Farm Crossing. We shan't be long now. He liked running at night. The rails hummed and the signal lights shone green. But a broken cartload of lime lay ahead. Sam the farmer had just gone for help. Percy broke the cart to smithereens. Lime flew everywhere. He puffed quickly to the nearest signal box. Percy's driver explained what had happened. I'll see to it, said the signalman, but you'd better clean Percy or people will think he's a ghost. Percy chuckled. Do let's pretend I'm a ghost and scare Thomas. That'll teach him to say I'm a silly little engine. Toby promised to help. Thomas was being oiled up for his evening train. Percy's had an accident, cried Toby. Poor engine, said Thomas. Botheration! That means I'll be late. They've cleared the line for you, but there's something worse. Out with it, Toby. I can't wait all evening. I've just seen something, said Toby. It looked like Percy's ghost. It said it was coming here to warn us. Huh! Who cares? Don't be frightened, Toby. I'll take care of you. Pee, pee, pip, 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 pee. Let me in! Let me in! Wailed Percy. No, no, not by the smoke of my chimney, chim. I'll chuff and I'll puff and I'll break your door in. Oh dear, exclaimed Thomas. It's getting late. Oh, I'd no idea. Oh, I must find Annie and Clarabelle. It was morning when Thomas returned. Where have you been? Asked Toby. Ah, well, said Thomas. I knew you'd be sad about Percy, and I didn't like to intrude. I slept in the goods shed, and... Oh, sorry, can't stop. Got to see a coach about to train. Percy was none the worse for his adventure and was still enjoying himself enormously. He had heard everything. Well, well, well. What do you know about that? Anyone would think, chuckled Toby, that our Thomas had just seen a ghost.
Wilbert the Forest Engine had come to the island of Sordo after the Fat Controller had arranged for him to help Donald and Douglas on Little Western for a while. Later on, he was moved to the Farquhar branch line after Percy had had an accident, where he would stay and help Thomas and Toby. Wilbert was a sensible and polite engine who did his best to work well and, like Henry, loved nature, and especially resting in the deep, silent, calm forest after a day's work. One day, he had to take some empty trucks from the China Clay Works and bring them to the Farquhar Quarry due to a freight car shortage. He was excited and a bit worried at the same time. As Wilbur entered the clay pits, he was greeted by a long green diesel whom he had never met before. Of course, it was Boko.
Hello, I don't think I've ever met you. But you kind of look like a blue and long version of Percy.
Boko chuckled.
Anyway, my name is Boko. What's yours?
Nice to meet you, Boko. I'm Wilbert.
Oh, so you're Wilbert. Toby told me about you. You're here for those empty trucks over there, right?
I do believe so, yes.
And you better get to it. But I do have to warn you about Bill and Ben, two very cheeky bees that infest the quarry line. When I first met them, they tricked me by going up and down the tracks to...
Ben, look, that's the new engine. How about an old trick of ours? Absolutely.
So don't get caught up with their tricks.
All right, I will try,
said Wilbert as he puffed towards the empty trucks. He knew the twins were nearby. He quietly backed up on his train, hoping he would pass unnoticed. Unfortunately, he didn't.
Hi, my name's Bill.
Hey, nice to meet you, Bill. I'm Wilbert.
Do you know that I'm really fast? Look.
Bill went down and up came Ben.
Boom.
Wilbert already knew what they were up to, so he had an idea. He started to ignore them and slowly move away.
Hey, where are you going?
So the twins puffed after Wilbert. But suddenly he stopped right on the point. Bill and Ben braked hard and stopped a few inches from Wilbert.
Are you crazy?
No, I'm Wilbert, and I got to go. So see you, Bill and Ben. Oh, and Boko told me all about you,
said Wilbert as he went off in a satisfied way, chuckling to himself. The twins were furious. They spent the rest of the day thinking how they would get back at him. The next day, Bill and Ben were still thinking about how to pay the blue engine back, when Ben overheard two workmen speaking to each other.
Have you heard? They're having a party at Kelsthorpe for Halloween. My daughter wants to go there with her friends.
Of course,
exclaimed Ben as an idea flew into his funnel. He then told Bill the plan he had made. Bill beamed from buffer to buffer.
That will work splendidly.
As you may have heard, a workman mentioned a Halloween party. That's because it was indeed almost Halloween, and to get their plan working, Bill and Ben asked the Fat Controller if he can take some decorations up to Kelsthorpe, and he'd let them do it. On that day, one of the twins made a stop to the scrapyard before reaching Wellsworth and collecting the decorations for the party. Edward looked at them in a puzzled way.
And what exactly is that?
Oh, don't worry, Edward. Just some extra special decoration.
If you say so. That doesn't convince me at all.
The twins then set off and delivered their train to the station. They then settled down in Henry's forest to prepare their devious plan. Later that evening, Wilbert was puffing down the line towards the Halloween party to meet up with the other engines. It was getting dark, and a thick fog had come down.
I gotta say, this place is spooky at night.
His thoughts were interrupted by a dreadful sound of metal squeaking.
Who's there?
But no one replied. A flatbed slowly rolled down the line next to it.
What the?
But then, a metal monster started chasing poor Wilbert, who immediately ran backwards.
Something.
Please don't hurt me.
Who will?
What? You?
That will teach you not to mess with us.
I should have known it. Phew.
So that night, Wilbert, still a bit shocked, slowly trundled back to Tidmouth, knowing well to be more careful around Bill and Ben, and that being rude isn't the right thing to do.
James the Red Engine was restless. Since his accident with the trucks in the cow pasture, the Fat Controller had let him shunt around the big station to gain confidence with trucks again. But James had been shunting for some time and was eager to see the rest of the main line. "I'm tired of being tethered to the big station," he said to the others one night. "I long to stretch my wheels." The engines were tired of hearing James complain, but all of them had been in this position before, so they couldn't be cross. "Be patient, little James," Gordon said. "I'm sure the Fat Controller will let you out into the world soon." James's chance came sooner than expected. The Fat Controller sat in his office one morning when an important call came. "Yes? Yes? A special train? Who is this? Hello?" The phone clicked and was silent. The station master came in. "You rang for me, sir?" "Yes. I've just received a call from a station I thought for many years to be vacant. They're asking for a special train." "What kind of train, sir?" "A goods train," he replied solemnly. "Surely it's a joke, sir." The Fat Controller looked very grim. "No, I'm afraid it's not." "Well, who would take this train?" "A goods train, sir? Down the main line? Do you mean it?" James said excitedly. "Yes," said the Fat Controller, "but listen very carefully. You are to take these trucks to the old station and leave them there. Pay attention to the rails and do not lose your way." James wasn't sure what the Fat Controller meant, but he was happy to be out of the yards. Later that afternoon, James set out for his destination. James loved it. He cherished the wind in his face and the countryside rushing past. Finally, a chance to stretch my wheels. It took some time to reach the old station. By then, the sky was getting dark. "Would you look at this?" James's driver remarked, pointing to the station. "This used to be the junction to an old branch line long before you came along, James." "Really? Who ran the branch line?" "An old engine, about the same size as Thomas. He was put out of service a long time ago." "What happened?" James asked, beginning to feel uneasy. I don't remember exactly," his driver replied. James got the feeling that his driver wasn't telling him something. James and his crew set down the trucks in an old siding. A thick fog was beginning to form. "We better hurry back," said James's driver. "The fog is making it hard to see." The fog did make it hard to see. So hard, in fact, that James started down the wrong track, down the old branch line. Neither the driver nor the fireman recognized the mistake. "Something's wrong," said James. "The track feels rough." "It's an old section of main line. You're just not used to it, James." Then James saw a flash of red lights in the distance. "What's that?" James cried. "That's not a signal. That's a..." The fog began to lift, and James realized he was not on the main line. James was not sure where he was, but what he saw there terrified him. Up ahead was an old engine shed. In its stall sat an old, dead engine, rusted from smoke box to cab. The only light came from a busted red tail lamp, which sat on the engine's footplate. "Oh, horrors!" James cried. He closed his eyes and ran back as fast as his wheels would let him. He was going so fast that when he returned to the old station, he smashed into the trucks in the siding, spilling out their contents. Inside the trucks was what appeared to be demolition equipment. James didn't stop for long to inspect the goods. He hurried back up the main line to get back to his shed. The old station sat eerily quiet. The door of the station building creaked open, and out stepped the fat controller. He sighed as he saw the contents of the trucks strewn about on the ground. "I really hope James wouldn't have seen this," he muttered to himself. "I've got to correct my mistakes, no matter how old." Taking off his jacket, the fat controller piled as much of the equipment in his car as he could and hurried down the dirt road towards the old engine shed.
Thomas and Percy are good friends, but sometimes Percy teases Thomas about being frightened, and he doesn't like that at all. One evening, he was dozing happily, but Percy wanted to talk. "Wake up, Thomas. Are you dreaming about the time you thought I was a ghost?" "Certainly not. Anyway, I was only pretending to be scared. I knew it was you, really." Percy went on teasing him. "I hope the guard leaves the light on for you tonight." "Why?" asked Thomas. "I quite like the dark." "Oh, really?" exclaimed Percy. "I am surprised. I always thought you were afraid of the dark. I wonder why." Thomas decided to say nothing and went to sleep instead. Next day, Sir Topham Hatt came to see him. "I would like you to go to the harbor tonight. You have to collect something rather unusual." "What sort of something?" asked Thomas. "Wait and see," replied Sir Topham Hatt. Meanwhile, Percy was moving freight cars into a siding. Henry arrived with his goods train. The signalman changed the switches, and Percy waited on the siding until Henry had steamed by. Then there was trouble. "The switches are jammed," called the signalman. "I can't switch them back for Percy. The workmen will have to mend them in the morning. It's too late now." Said Percy's driver. "I'm sorry, Percy, but you'll have to stay here for the night." "Where are you going?" asked Percy. "Home for tea," replied the fireman. Percy was speechless. He watched as the other engines went home to the shed. Nighttime came, and Percy began to feel very lonely. "Oh, dear," he murmured. "It's very dark." Oh, what's that?" It was only an owl, but Percy didn't realize this. "Oh, I wish Thomas were here too," he sighed. Thomas was waiting for his mysterious load at the harbor. Suddenly, there it was. "Cinders and ashes," cried Thomas. "It's a dragon." "Don't worry," laughed his driver. "This dragon is made of paper. It's for the carnival tomorrow." Workmen lifted the dragon onto Thomas's low loader and put lights all round it for protection. Then Thomas set off into the misty night. Percy was asleep on his siding and had no idea that Thomas was approaching him. Percy woke up with a start. "Help!" cried Percy. "I'm not going to open my eyes until my driver comes." Next morning, the switches were mended and Percy puffed back to the junction. Gordon was just about to leave with the express. "You'll never guess what I saw last night." Gordon was in no mood for puzzles. "I'm a busy engine. I don't have time for your games. I've seen a huge dragon. It was covered in lights." Gordon snorted. "You've been in the sun too long. Your dome has cracked." When the other engines heard the news, they laughed too. "Look out, Percy," chuckled James, "or the dragon may gobble you up." "No one believes me," huffed Percy. "Maybe I did imagine the dragon after all." But Percy soon found out that he hadn't. "Help! Save me!" cried Percy. "It's all right," whistled Thomas, and he explained about the carnival. "By the way, how was your night out?" Percy decided to tell Thomas the truth. "Well, Percy," said Thomas, "maybe we do get scared sometimes, but if we're not afraid to tell each other, then that means we're quite brave, too."
It was the evening before Halloween, and all the engines were gathered around, ready and eager to start their annual tradition of telling ghost stories. The firelighter came to set the mood, and soon the yard was showered in a warm orange glow, creating an atmosphere ripe for spooky tales. The engines took turns telling ghost stories as the moon rose overhead, each trying to outdo the last. They were all enjoying themselves enormously. Even the big engines, who normally didn't have much patience for silly stories, beamed and laughed as Thomas and Percy imitated a ghost haunting an old mansion. Finally, it was Henry's turn to tell a story. He hesitated for a moment and curiously looked over to Gordon and Edward, who appeared cautious at first, but then beckoned Henry on. "Tell it," whispered Gordon. "Go on, it would hurt." "I don't know if I should," he whispered back. "It's up to you, Henry. It is scary," Edward replied quietly. "Are you going to tell the story or not?" James said. The other engines laughed except for Henry, who looked a little uneasy. "Come on," Thomas and Percy said together. "Well, all right. Here goes." And so Henry began. "Many years ago, there was an engine who worked on a faraway railway. He was never given a name, or should I say, never lived long enough to be given a name." Henry paused impressively. "You see," he continued, "all engines, when they are built, are friendly and hard-working. But once in a while, engines come out bad. And I'm sorry to say that this engine came out very bad indeed. No one knows how he came to be built, what led him to do the things he did, but it left a path of destruction that haunts his controller to this very day." Thomas and Percy looked wide-eyed at each other. The engine thought himself to be a premier engine from a famous lineage, but it was actually an experimental engine, using only parts of other steam engines. The parts didn't fit together very well, and made him very mean-spirited and somewhat unhinged. He was painted blue, but probably should have been painted black. It was not uncommon for the engine to insult the others and resort to light sabotage, such as bumping them without warning and misplacing trains over small petty squabbles. He was also easy to anger and had fits of rage, taking it out on the trucks, and sometimes engines smaller than he was. One day, He bobbed up to one of these smaller engines and pushed him to the edge of the turntable well, threatening to knock him in if he didn't cater to his every whim. Edward suddenly gulped, as if a bad memory had flashed across in his mind. The big engines were furious and confronted him about his awful behavior. "Stop bullying engines smaller than you," they said. But he wouldn't listen. He continued to play spiteful tricks, and ever told the controller about it. He'd make them pay. The two big engines, thoroughly fed up, got up very early one morning and met the controller at the station. They told him all about what the engine had done, but the controller's hands were tied since the engine was on loan.
"I can't do anything but put in a report to the engine's company,"
said Henry, mimicking the fictional controller. "What happened then?" asked Toby. "Well, one of the big engines left to take a train, and the other remained at the station trying desperately to plead their case. It is said that the bad engine was passing through the yard at the time and saw the big engine. Needless to say, he was immediately suspicious. He confronted the big engine in the yard and said, 'I told you not to tell anyone. You'll get yours.' The big engine just laughed, believing the engine only to be bluffing." Henry suddenly paused. Edward, Gordon, and Henry all looked at each other. Gordon gave a motion of the eyes, encouraging Henry to keep going. But, Henry said, he was most assuredly not bluffing. The next day, the big engine was pulling an express train and through the junction when suddenly, and without warning, another engine careened into the back of his coaches. There was an awful noise as wood and metal and stone splintered everywhere. But what was worse was as the noise of the wreck subsided, the screams of the passengers inside those coaches became louder and louder and louder. The other engines' eyes were glued to Henry. They didn't dare make a sound. The bad engine, knowing the big engine was just up the line, had intentionally missed a signal and plowed into the back of the express train to get even. The sight of it was awful. The three rear coaches were smashed to smithereens, and everyone inside those coaches, Henry gulped. Everyone inside those three coaches perished. The other engines gasped. The big engine screamed, "You've killed my passengers! You've killed my passengers!" But the bad engine didn't care. He just laughed. The controller came and, seeing the mess, sent the engine for scrap. If the controller had only listened to the big engines, the lives of those in the coaches might have been saved. So that is the moral of this story. Stand up to evil and fight on to the very end, or the evil might just turn you into ghosts. Henry gave a loud whistle, making everyone jump. "Wow, Henry," James laughed. "That was a twisted story. I might have to keep the lights on tonight," said Percy, and everyone laughed. Soon the engines began to leave the yard to get a good night's rest. Gordon, Henry, and Edward, however, stayed behind. As soon as the others were out of earshot, Henry sighed, looking very ill. Gordon smiled sympathetically. "A fine performance, Henry. Though I know that's not an easy story for you to tell." "Do you think they knew who we were talking about?" said Edward. "The only one who might have known was Thomas, but he was too young at that time to remember," added Gordon. "You think 98462 was actually scrapped?" asked Henry. But Gordon and Edward didn't answer right away. The three looked up at the moon, feeling uncertain but hopeful that the bad engine wouldn't come back to haunt them again.
Boo!
What's that moving in the corner?
What's that shadow on the wall?
Don't be afraid, don't be scared, it's really nothing at all.
But I saw something in the corner. I saw that shadow on the wall.
It's just just your imagination.
It's just the wise old owl.
Boo, boo, choo, choo. Don't be afraid of the dark. It's easily explained. You see why things go bump in the night. Boo, 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 choo, choo. Don't wander from your track. And don't be afraid, don't be afraid, don't be afraid of the dark. The little engine wondered. He thought and thought all night. Really nothing's changed, it's just the same since daylight turned to night.
But something moved in the corner. A shadow crossed the wall.
He closed his eyes, counted 10,
and remembered the wise old owl.
Boo, boo, choo, choo.